That's right, baby. We're back. With my recent, should I say addiction to the Steam Deck, I figured, why don't I take some of the games that I really like and kind of give them a little bit of an in-depth look. Just kind of overall, as you see, we got some gameplay, some spec stuff running in the background. And just talk a little bit about my overall experience with the deck. Now, first and the easiest one to start with, of course, is going to be, as you see it, Resident Evil, the remake. The remake of RE1. It's the pure old-timer Resident Evil fans' ultimate classic. This is the one that should never, ever on Earth be be remade, depending on who you ask. So I figured I would start here. This is a perfect video game in its own right if you ever played it back on the original GameCube. But man, when they re-released it on PlayStation 4 and on Steam, on Xbox One, heck, even the Switch version of this game is good. But that's kind of what I wanted to look at comparison-wise, somewhat today, is the way essentially the Steam Deck stacks up. And I guys, we're not stupid. And anyone who knows anything about content creation or video game content or anything like that in this industry, guys, you know full well the Steam Deck's got more horsepower than a Switch. So this is not going to be a video surrounding just bashing on the Switch for like performance differences or anything like that. It's more designed to be a showcase and an overall experience of just how good this game runs on the Steam Deck. Like, you know, when this remaster came out, again, on PS4, so for it to be running, as you're seeing, just locked at 60 frames per second the whole way, all the settings are maxed out. The only thing I don't have running on the deck is like mods. And that's just because, you know, I don't have them. Now there's a little way around that, I'll be honest. And that's if you end up, oh, I'm sorry, I'm making a volume adjustment. If you end up with the deck doing like streaming, because that's always an option. If you have a high-end rig and you stream your game, that's where you're gonna see like mods where you can enhance the colors or something like that in my videos. This is just the game in and of itself. So what you would get when you launch the game. Now all of my footage is going through one of those JSON, those third-party docs. So there might be a little bit of a quality dip there, but your overall gameplay experience is actually very superb. Again, throughout, I know this game's kind of old, it's fixed camera angles, a GameCube game at the end of the day. But hey man, not a whole lot of power being needed to run her, and she's locked at 60 throughout. Like, sometimes you'll see a little bit of a spike here and there, but it's like a spike down to 59 instead of 60. So it's not a huge problem in the grand scheme of things. As for feel, that's what I want to go to next, because you know, it's one thing to have the graphics all, you know, cranked and everything, like, oh yeah, Resident Evil 1 at max settings, but how does it feel in your hands? What I will say, me personally, I think that the Steam Deck has an awesome freaking D-pad, and if you play these classic fixed camera Resident Evil games, or you play Dino Crisis or something like that, the D-pad, man, the D-pad is where you want to live. Analog sticks kind of get a little potato and get a little wonky. So I don't generally fancy playing a lot of these games with an analog stick. I like to have either, in this case, the deck, or if you are docking it, like an 8-bit or something like that, with a pretty solid D-pad to get the job done. That's just my user preference, of course. Everyone's is going to be a little bit different. But yeah, it's just the gameplay is very tight on that D-pad throughout. And you know, when you're up and you're doing and everything, it feels really comfortable. This is an easy single session kind of game for the layout, for the look of the Steam Deck. Like the way the system performs, the way that it's just kind of designed. Resident Evil 1 runs incredible on. And I expect at some point I'm probably going to be having similar marks to say about the likes of Resident Evil 0, or if I look at maybe sideloading like BioRand or something like that, seeing if I can get that running on the deck. Any of the classic Resident Evil games with the fixed camera angles, Code Veronica through like Dolphin or something like that, I'm sure it's going to run awesome because of that, just that emphasis on D-pad. And you see it right here just as I'm talking. I'm not having a bunch of like spaghetti string action going on when I'm going room to room or anything like that. So it's just nice from that perspective to just know, oh my god, I could probably speedrun pretty well on this thing, as well as have the graphic fidelity and such. One thing I did notice as far as video goes is like usually with games like these, they'll have a little like gameplay demonstration where they'll just kind of show, oh, Chris is shooting a zombie, oh, he got bit or something like that. Sometimes on the deck it'll just show like a multicolored like rectangular screen, and then it'll play the audio. Doesn't seem to happen a lot when you're docked out going to a capture card, but when you are actually like hand hold mode, it seems to regularly do that. So not entirely sure why that is. Maybe they just, they're being careful or it's set to like flag something, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind if you're like super into watching those little demos or anything like that. So I mean, realistically, guys, we kind of knew again, like this is an older game. This is one of those where it's not gonna take much to kind of throw Resident Evil 1 around, but to be able to carry it with you and have the maximum settings and have just a solid gameplay experience right there in your hand, especially where you've got me, you've got other Resident Evil fans who really herald this game. Even though I would personally love to see a remake in like the RE engine and kind of the modern scape, kind of unite that whole thing. It's not going to take away from me going back and playing a fixed camera Resident Evil game, but that's me running off in the weeds. This game is already superb, and I think it runs stellar on the deck. And again, this is kind of a consumer perspective. I'm not like a super big tech analyst or anything like that, and I know just enough to be dangerous with this stuff. So I wanted to include a lot of like the CPU percentages, how much VRAM's getting used at max settings in 1080p to get that 60 frames per second. So that if you are interested in getting a deck, or you're like, oh man, a game like Resident Evil, how would it feel? How would it run? How does it look? Especially when compared to the console experience. So, your PS4, Series S, Series X, and of course like the 5 and 5 Pro, you probably gonna see basically the same. I know that sounds silly to say, but outside of the mod support, pretty much every version of Resident Evil 1 is locked up to the 60 frames per second. They don't generally go past that. I'm sure with the bigger systems, your CPU usage is probably significantly less, just because of the extra horsepower in them. But for most of these to be averaging like 30%. I mean, you see them bouncing around, but 30, 40, I see a 60 now and then as you're going and everything. The game is not in any way, shape, or form just at a barn burner in the hardware department. So if you were interested in it, I know the Steam sale just recently rolled by. Capcom's also promoting a bunch of stuff. You got Resident Evil 9 coming, so maybe you're thinking like, oh, where did it all begin? Can I start over? And if I do start over, is Steam a good place to start? And even more so, how's the deck looking? That's what this video is, guys. This is just from a crazed Resident Evil fan who loves this game and loves all the games in general, and I haven't really been able to put my Steam Deck down since I got it. So I wanted to throw this together, and I hope it is a little bit informative for you. One thing I am going to show off real quick is just the streaming component of it. This is kind of what I mentioned earlier, where sure, you can install the game straight to your deck, but if you got, a good internet connection and, you got all your mods and stuff like that over on a rig, you can also stream over on the rig. So I know this footage seems to be a little bit stuttery. You can see some tearing take place, but I think that in large part is I was still playing on the deck footage and recording on the host computer, so I think that might have flipped the computer out a little bit. But you can see, like, I've got a recolor mod on here and a beautiful reshader, and then of course item like the item icons in inventory are improved. The weapons are called what they would be called in real life instead of handgun. So it's little things like that, and I am aware that you can load mods and everything onto the Steam Deck, but I have a lot of things installed on my Steam Deck right now, and mods, oh, they're gonna suck up a lot of storage when the time comes. So yeah, I think having the versatility to do both is what's going to not only make this game incredible, but really any game you play on the deck. So in future reviews, you will probably see me going like, all right, we're doing we're gonna do some footage of like what it looks like from the deck docked, and then if you're doing the remote play, what it can look like. Say you throw some mods on there or anything like that, because that is a perk to doing the Steam Deck and handheld gaming, where you can just remote play from your host machine running Steam. You can have your whole library just sitting on your computer ready to go at the press of the button. So I hope you guys did enjoy this one. As always, let me know what you think. Do you already have Resident Evil 1 Remake on the Steam Deck? Do you have it on a console, and maybe you're thinking about making the jump to Steam? Let me know. Just let me know, guys, because this game, oh man, it the Steam Deck throws this game around, and to be able to have it all maxed out on the go, that's a win for me. We're gonna leave this one here, and I will see you guys in the next one.